So I watched another film today called Heretic. Why are films so awful right now? Just everyone is awful. Um, this was, I guess, interesting because it was. I have a huge amount of hatred towards Christians. I feel like I'm in a prison because of Christians. Christianity is basically just an organization of people who want to control other people by coming up with a set of with a doctrine and a set of beliefs, set of principles, and they want to say that these are God's beliefs, God's principles, and they try and use this belief to try and control others. So I guess this film was a little bit educational because they were trying to teach. This guy was trying to teach these girls that their religion is basically just like a Monopoly game that's been copied off some other older version of a Monopoly under a different name, and it's just old texts that have been retaken, turned into some sort of Bible, and then used as some sort of promotional pyramid scheme to try and just gain more people and to try and control other people's minds, try and control how they think, what they believe is right and wrong, how they see the world, and it's all in sort of name of giving hope and giving truth about God, when God could be real and God is real, and God might not agree with all your principles and all your beliefs and all your nonsense, and she might find herself actually being in some sort of prison because of this, because part of their belief is that God loves you, and even if you're, one of them lost a dad to a disease, when she was young, and yet he was just like, well, don't you think that's stupid to believe that, there's an all-loving, all-powerful God that has a plan for you, and yet the plan for you was for your dad to die when you were, a baby. And yeah, it's, I feel like you can learn from that, because yes, there's a lot of truth, so people might look at that and think, oh yeah, maybe I shouldn't be a Christian because technically I am worshipping something that doesn't make sense. Why would something that has a plan for me make this my plan, make this the plan for me? I mean, I think what I didn't like about it is that it didn't actually give any truth about God. He later made it clear that he was all about control and just controlling people, and you find out that he's got a basement full of women basically just locked up and are his slaves, but yeah, they looked like they were in really, really bad condition. Like, nails were all horrible, and skin was, they looked cold, they looked like they were hypothermic, they looked like they hadn't been eating or drinking or anything properly. They basically looked like they'd already died, and they just kind of was. I think if you were really keeping people in that kind of condition, they would just die. They would die of hypothermia, they would get cold, and they wouldn't be alive. And you can't control them if they're dead. So I feel like the film was a complete exaggeration on that part, because that wouldn't be, realistic. That wouldn't be something that would happen in real life, because all those people would be dead, and well, you can't control people if they're dead. And if he was all about control, giving them a more decent living, a more decent. And he also managed to convince one of them to go into this room and do some strange dance, and then literally eat some sort of poison pie and die, basically. And to think that someone has that much control over a person that they can actually make them kill themselves, I mean, I think that's completely unrealistic and untrue. But then I've been talking about paralyzed people this last few days, even this morning, feeling like it. And how is what doctors are doing to paralyzed people, how is that any different to what this guy did in the Heretic film to these women who he's got sort of caged up? He's taken normal healthy women that probably have mental conditions, and stupidity, because they were obviously following him or believed him in some sort of way, and then he abused his power to lock them up in prisons and basically control and dictate every aspect of their life, and putting them through torture. And while doctors who, they do it under the facade of we're helping them, and then they, keep them locked up in their own body, where they're just forced to just become like vegetables on a bed, basically. I don't know how much they recover. I've heard of stories where people recover, and if you're like that for 6 months and then you come out of it and you heal, then you might look back and think it was worth going through that 6 months of pain, to be able to get your life back. But how many of them do get their life back, I don't know. I do not know the statistics. If you've got people with terminally ill illnesses, and you give them medicine to heal them, even if they're experimental drugs, how effective are they? How much do they work? How many other problems, symptoms do they come? I don't know the details, and therefore, and I know the doctors wouldn't know the details either, so I can't, criticize people for generally trying to help people. But yeah, it's the paralyzed, not able to walk, not able to move your legs, even arms. Arms is, if you're moving your arms, then at least you have control over what you do on the internet. You can watch certain things, you can turn the TV on, you can even get in a chair and open doors. If you have your arms, you can do quite a lot. If you don't have your arms or legs, it's just such an awful position to be in, and to think that these people would use the word morals. Oh, we can't kill people because it's not morally right. It's not morally right to let them just lie in a bed looking like a vegetable. That's not moral either. Yeah, I don't know. But I guess it made me think of that because he was trying to. I think he was the message that he was trying to promote is that he can do whatever he wants, and therefore that is proof that God isn't real. If God is good and all just, then how come he can kill people or lock them up or just be an absolute monster, and God isn't going to stop him? And I didn't like that about the film, because that preaches the same thing that everyone preaches, which is that God is either fake and not true, or real and able to do lots of stuff and able to stop him. It's like, I think in the future, when people know that I'm God and that I don't have the powers that people want me to have, I think people will just see this as man's desperation to believe in something that has a huge amount of power that can help them, and because they're so angry at the fact that there isn't this all-powerful God that can actually help them, they want to take out their revenge by saying, either this is the truth or there's no God at all. God, if you're real, do this for me, and if you don't do this for me, then I'm just going to hate you for the rest of my life. And they're just so self-centered, and so this is it. God can listen to me. God can hear what I'm saying. God is speaking to me right now, and if God doesn't do this, then I know that God is not helping me, and if God is going to not help me, then I'm not going to do anything for God, rather than just accept that maybe God is real, but God is not listening to you. God is not following you around. God is not watching you when you're on the toilet. The fact that there is a God, but the Matrix is allowing you to do what you want, that's just not on the cards on most people. And so I didn't like that about the film. The fact that it was taking people away from Christianity, so I guess I like that, and these people were Christians, so I felt less need to want to sympathize with them, because at the end of the day they're definitely not on my side and not helping me. But then he's not helping me either, because he was making it clear that either God is real and can do everything, or God isn't real and can't do anything. And I really don't like that, because that's completely false. It's completely false. But yeah, it's a horrible film. But it was better than The Smile. That was just too disgusting. So I'm probably going to be in bed for the next week, for the whole weekend. That's my plan. And I don't have any other plans. I don't feel quite as tired as I did early this morning. But yeah, the day didn't go very well, because I forced myself up out of bed when I was feeling really, really shattered, only to get to meet my uncle, and he basically just said that he had diarrhea and that he didn't want to go to the film that I just booked, even though all of yesterday, have you booked the film yet? You've asked, no, I'll do it at last minute in case you change your mind, because he always changes his mind, so I thought he might change his mind, so I kind of waited until last minute. Well, I didn't wait till last minute, I waited until about 10 o'clock to book it, yeah, so I booked it 2 hours, and then I met him at 12, and he was, well, I was still being like, yeah, we can, just give me 10 minutes. I'm going to go to TK Maxx, and he said he didn't want to walk around TK Maxx, so yeah, it was partly the point. He said he wanted to walk around town, and then I just ended up going by myself because he didn't want to, and I told him just sit out here for a bit. Came out 10 minutes later, he'd gone. He did apparently, well, he tried to ring me 3 times, but my phone was on silent and I didn't notice, so I was wondering why he wasn't calling or why he just disappeared. Waited about 20 minutes, never came back, and then I just went to the film myself. That was that day, but can't be too angry. He did buy me. He spent so much money there yesterday. He's on the dole. He's never worked, and he spends £6.50 on 2 glasses. £6.50, so £13 on 2 glasses of wine for him. He bought me a glass of wine too for another £6.50, and then he bought 2 hot dogs at £5.50 each for him, and then one for me at £5.50. So yeah, he spent about £13 on 2 glasses of wine, £12 on £11 on 2 hot dogs for himself, and then he had a £3 donut, and then he wanted another glass of wine, and I was like, yeah, we should not. And then he said, oh, let's go have a hot chocolate, and he's going to spend about £5 for a hot chocolate. I was like, no, let's go to Wetherspoons. So we went to Wetherspoons and had a £1.50 hot chocolate, much better deal. And we had it's a refillable one as well. And then we watched a film, and then we had a meal afterwards in the Wetherspoons, a big curry, which was quite a good deal. It's really big. But yeah, I came back, I was just really, really tired. And then this morning, we had an omelette, but it was covered in oil, just covered in oil. When you've had something really fatty, like I didn't want the fatty breakfast because I felt it made me feel sick or something, and so I went for the omelette thinking it would be less fatty, and it really wasn't. Yes. So tired.